All right. Hello and welcome. You've reached the Diamond Report Live. It's your host, Doug Diamond, yet again. It is December the 1st, 2024. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a superb Thanksgiving. And thank you for joining me tonight very much. And just wanted to play that video for you guys. The latest Reese report, Trump surrounding himself with Operation accomplices, that's exactly what it is. Obviously, I think many of us know that Trump is not going to go back and apologize for what happened with that, and instead he's taking full credit for it. So I think we should be okay giving him full credit for the millions and millions of people who died. But it wasn't all his fault. He was certainly the president at the time, but we know that Biden and company had mandated it, so it's kind of all in the family, I guess you could say. But anyway, speaking of Biden and all in the family, have a look at this one. Biden pardons his son, Hunter. So if you guys missed this bit of news, just came out a little while ago, actually. It says, Hal's website says, but there's a twist, Ukraine. So we'll look at this here in just a second. But yeah, Biden gave his rotten, lowly son a complete pardon, full and unconditional, as it says here. It says, to all to whom these presents shall come, greeting, be it known that this day I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President, I would say fake President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted unto Robert Hunter Biden, his son, a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by special counsel David Weiss in docket number, and then it lists that, United States District Court for the District of Delaware, and docket number, another one, for the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California, in testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the pardon to be recorded with the Department of Justice, done at the City of Washington, 1st day of December. So, as of today, right? So, what Hal's saying here is illegitimate President Biden has pardoned his son Hunter for all crimes he might be involved in starting on January 1st, 2014. Why did he pick that date? Well, because 2014 is when the CIA/State Department took over Ukraine. 2014 is also when Hunter's biolab company began looking for this in Ukraine. Joe is not covering the drug and gun possession charges for his son, Hunter. Joe is running cover for all of Hunter's criminality in Ukraine, which is really Joe's criminality in Ukraine. Except by this pardon, incoming President Trump now has a crystal clear time frame in which to direct investigators. Hunter didn't act alone. There were many other people, Americans, involved. But there's another issue. While a president can pardon anyone for any federal crime, there's a very real question as to whether that pardon power extends to treaties, specifically the while a president's power to pardon comes from the Constitution, the same Constitution makes it, and all treaties, the supreme law of the land. There is no clarification as to whether a president's power to pardon extends to treaties. There is only one punishment outlined in the for any violations, and that is death by hanging. This could be the start of a very fierce constitutional battle. Can a U.S. president pardon someone who may have violated a treaty, which is higher than federal criminal statutes? Question mark. So yeah, a lot of legalities to take into consideration. Of course, I'm not an expert in, but I do think another thing that they should look at that I'm surprised Hal didn't actually mention here in this blurb on this article on his website, and that is the fact that technically Joseph R. Biden Jr., the acting president, was never elected president. So therefore, can he actually pardon anyone? I would say no. So that is something with, that people with more of a legal mind than I would have to check out. But seems to me like, no, he wouldn't be able to pardon any criminal for anything because he was not duly elected. So that should really, I would think, cause people to research even further the fact that he has not actually been president the last 4 years. So how can he possibly pardon someone? Just a logical question one would ask. Anyway, RT's article about this situation says Trump slams shocking pardon of Hunter Biden. The outgoing U.S. president interfered in favor of his son despite pledges not to. Yeah, they said over and over that he was not going to do this, and yet he has done it. Says Trump and congressional Republicans have blasted outgoing President Biden for pardoning his son Hunter, who was convicted of illegally purchasing a gun and tax evasion. The sentencing in both cases were scheduled for this month. Despite saying publicly that he would not interfere with his son's cases, the president went back on his word and announced the pardon on Sunday evening. He labeled the convictions, quote, a miscarriage of justice, end quote, arguing that Hunter has been singled out, quote unquote, because of his ties to the president. No, it's because he was the one running all of the drugs and running all of the human trafficking and basically, everything that was on the laptop and then some, plus 10% for the big guy, right? According to the statement from the White House, pardon applies to all offenses that were or may have been committed between January 1, 2014 and December 1, 2024, which is today. So yeah, just like Hal mentioned in his article, covers everything that happened in Ukraine with metabiota and so forth. So there you go. Turns out some people really are above the law, and the Biden family is definitely above the law. At least it would appear as that were the case. Again, if you're not actually president, though, maybe that doesn't apply. All right, so that article was on RT, and then needtoknow.news. I've got a few articles to look at on that site. IMF calls for economy-crushing carbon restrictions that dwarf the COVID lockdowns. You are the carbon they want to reduce. Never forget that. It's very accurate. Says, although led to a supply chain instability, huge job losses, and a stagflationary crisis, climate change propagandists argued that the event was actually a positive for the planet when it was revealed that emissions fell by 5.4%. They planned scheduled disruptions to economic activity. Targets include restrictions on the use of private vehicles, red meat, extreme energy saving, and bans on drilling. After a public uproar over the notion of extending into climate lockdowns, the mainstream media lied that it was a, quote, conspiracy theory. Open lockdowns of developed nations might not ultimately be the tool that the globalists use to reach net zero, which is impossible if you ask me. But carbon taxation is an oppressive scale that could end up having the same effect. The agenda is about centralizing the control of national wealth as well as individual liberties and private property. So there you have it. Anyway, yes, never forget, you are the carbon they want to reduce. Anyway, very well said. The full article for this particular story on needtoknow.news actually is linked to from Zero Hedge. So have a look at that if you are interested. And then the next one, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos push for climate vaccines in the food supply. Billionaires Gates and Bezos are funding schemes that seek to fight, quote, global warming by using climate needs in the food supply. They are both pushing plans to have livestock animals destined for human consumption to supposedly reduce methane emissions. Bezos's project aims to reduce the number of methane-producing microbes in a cow's stomach. Gates has proposed a drug to change the microbiome and a, quote, metal thing that goes under the skin of the cattle to burn the methane. I propose we try all of this out first on Bill Gates and see if it makes him cut out less methane and insert the thing under his skin and see how he feels. Patrick Moore is now chairman of the chief scientist of the group EcoSense Environmental, is pushing back against the demonization of carbon dioxide and other lies. So that is on needtoknow.news. Yeah, there's been plenty of discussion lately in amongst different people, believers and others, that perhaps it is Donald John Trump who is the false prophet. I would, the biblical false prophet. I would just suggest that maybe you should consider that instead of it being Donald Trump, perhaps the false prophet might be Bill Gates. What do you think? Just something to think about. That thought just occurred to me a few days ago, and I just thought I would impart that information, and we'll see how things go. But yes, I could see Bill Gates considering himself a prophet, don't you? Not so much Trump. Anyway, let's keep moving here. 11 states sue BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, accusing them of inflating energy prices. So there's a little bit of good news for you there. You guys have probably seen this meme before. Larry Fink is sweating in here. He doesn't know which button to press, ESG or ESG by a different name. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is leading 10 other GOP state attorneys general in a lawsuit against BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, three of the largest asset managers worldwide. The lawsuit alleges that the firms conspired, there's that word again, to artificially constrict the coal market. They acquired substantial stock holdings in all significant publicly held coal producers in the U.S., allowing them to have the power to control coal companies' policies. These asset managers are accused of pushing for reduced coal output by more than half by 2030. The 10 other states that joined the lawsuit, including Texas here, are Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, West Virginia, and Wyoming. So there's a little bit of good news. Now, do I think it will go anywhere? Well, it is three of the largest companies in the world who own vast amounts of wealth worldwide, so probably not. That means they probably own many, many judges as well. But it is interesting that at least they're trying it, so I think that's good to be applauded. But yes, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard are not our friends. We'll just put it that way. All right, let's see here. Florida Republican lawmaker introduces legislation to ban weather engineering. Where have you heard this before? That's the very same thing happened in my state of Tennessee earlier this year. Now ask me if it's actually made any difference and stopped geoengineering above Doug's house. Absolutely not. But the point is, at least people are being made aware of what's going on. I think that's good. This says Florida Republican Senator Garcia has introduced SB 56, a bill that aims to prohibit weather modification activities within the state. SB 56 specifically prohibits the, quote, injection, release, or dispersion by any means of a chemical compound, a substance, or an apparatus into the atmosphere within the borders of this state for the express purpose of affecting the temperature, the weather, or the intensity of sunlight, end quote. I happen to know that my friend Mr. Dane was instrumental in at least some of this information. So he mentioned that he has spoke to a few senators lately. So that is kind of interesting. So again, we'll see where it goes. Probably nowhere, but at least it is making the rounds in the news. But even more importantly, waking people up to geoengineering and climate modification, climate engineering. All of the different terms that are out there. It says violators could face stiff penalties. Now, how are you going to regulate this? That's what I don't know. How are you going to enforce this? Including fines of up to $10,000, oh boy, and potential misdemeanor charges. SB 56 is set to take effect on July 1st, 2025, but it will likely encounter opposition from industry, stakeholders, and environmental scientists. And then it says, note, the Gateway Pundit indicated that Tennessee had yet to pass similar legislation, but Tennessee signed it into law last spring. That's right. On April 11th. How about that date? Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed the bill banning the intentional injection, release, or dispersion by any means of chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus within the border of this state into the atmosphere with the express purpose of affecting the temperature, weather, or any intensity of the sunlight. It's pretty much word for word. Over the state into law, according to the Tennessee General Assembly's website. So it's pretty much the same verbiage happening in Florida as what happened in Tennessee. So I say more power to them. I'm glad that they're doing something, even though it won't really make any difference as far as what's happening overhead. Those are global programs. It's not really meant to necessarily stop the regional companies that are doing climate modification, weather modification and stuff. I'm guessing that they're not going to like this stuff very much, and unfortunately they're the ones that rightfully or wrongfully so, they're the ones that will be caught and or punished, not the people that are really running the global systems that are doing the massive amounts of spraying that we're seeing across pretty much all countries of the world. So I don't really think it's going to change anything, but it will bring attention to it. So I do think that's good news. All right. And then the next article on needtoknow.news, the U.S. is building an early warning system to detect geoengineering. How about that? So don't you think it should be going crazy right now? It says, while the media and the government often claim that weather modification through geoengineering and chemtrails are the stuff of, quote, conspiracy theories, U.S. scientists with NOAA and their chemical sciences laboratory are working on a new kind of global alarm system that can detect if another country or an adventurous billionaire, i.e. Bill Gates, right? Might as well put his name in there, tries to dim the sun and tamper with the Earth's thermostat. Balloons to detect geoengineering are launched 17 miles into the sky every few weeks in Boulder, Colorado, and also with less frequency in Alaska, Hawaii, and New Zealand, Reunion Island near the coast of Africa, and even Antarctica. Both NOAA and NASA have satellites that can detect large quantities of aerosols in the atmosphere, but they can't pick up smaller amounts. The balloons carry a device that measures tiny airborne particles, or aerosols. Sandia National Labs in Albuquerque is working on how to identify the location of an aerosol release. The lab is operated by a subsidiary of Honeywell under contract with the Department of Energy. It is claimed that the tool can also estimate the consequences of an aerosol injection, things like changes in surface temperatures and precipitation levels or soil moisture. So, sounds like a lot of fakery to me. I don't know what you guys think about this, but yeah, you could just try looking up. That's a really good point there, Miss Kathy. Yeah, for sure. Just try looking up. Yep, that's how you know it's happening. Because if the sky looks like this, chances are it is geoengineering. No, 100%. Anyway, thought I would mention that. Pretty ridiculous, but of course it's happening. It's happening worldwide. We don't need a taxpayer-funded system to tell us what's already happening. All we have to do is look up. Yes. Private jet user John Kerry warns of climate emergency, says, quote, we need to get people to behave. Of course, he doesn't mean himself. Climate envoy John Kerry attended a forum hosted by the Harvard Kennedy School's Institute of Politics last week to speak about the issues related to phony climate change. I would say that climate change it should be called climate changed, because it is happening. It's happening on purpose via geoengineering. During the interview, he said, I think personally we're on the brink of needing to declare a climate emergency, which is what we really have. And we need people to get to behave as if this really is a major transitional challenge to the whole planet, everybody. He claimed that roughly 7 billion people die yearly due to poor air quality. 7 million people die yearly due to poor air quality. And how would he possibly be able to prove that? Of course, it doesn't matter. You're just throwing the number out there. Of course, you can't prove it. Critics believe that behavior modification for the purpose of reducing global warming is an excuse for centralizing power and wealth, which, of course, that's exactly what it is. Anyway, well, let's take a look at this video. I think it's pretty interesting, and it features someone that you may recognize as well. Let's just say the soon-to-be Antichrist, but I do think that it's worth a watch. Just remember, you are the carbon they want to reduce. And we were just talking about John Kerry here. There's another video with some giant hypocrisy with John Kerry. All right, well, I know that was two kind of semi-long videos, but I felt like they were important. And, follow the money in what that second video was talking about. Follow the money, follow the power. And we're heading into 2025. We're very, very close at this point. I think that we are really not too far away from the person who will be the biblical Antichrist assuming power, and then therefore you will also have at some point a one world religion. Perhaps this environmentalism craziness is going to be it somehow. I mean, what is Charles's number one cause? What is the number one thing that he always talks about? It's environmentalism. So if Charles III is indeed going to become the biblical Antichrist, it makes sense to me, I've been saying it for years, that the one world religion might be this whole climate radicalism. And notice that neither one of these videos even mention geoengineering. So if there really is a climate emergency, and I tend to think that there is, Mr. Dayton talks about it all the time, geoengineeringwatch.org. However, it's being driven by geoengineering, not by everything that was mentioned in this video. Not by you having a gas stove and driving a car and having air conditioning. I'm not saying that's zero factors. I'm just saying that for the most part, the number one cause here is geoengineering, which is climate changed, as in changed on purpose. So that's why I felt like we needed to watch those two videos. Plus, it just shows the unmitigated total hypocrisy of John Kerry. What a loser. But anyways, you can see he's splitting hairs just like Bill Clinton did. What is the meaning of is? What is it? Depends on what is, as Bill Clinton famously said. Well, John Kerry's trying to say, well, he never owned a plane, even though his wife did. His wife did own a private jet. She's from the Heinz ketchup, she's from that family. So, yes, they've got all kinds of money. And yes, they do have a private jet, and he's trying to squirm his way out of it, saying that they didn't. But yeah, you can do a Google search for it. You can do a Google Images search for the Kerry plane. I believe it was green and white last time I checked. But yeah, there is a plane. It's just not all in his name, so therefore he doesn't fly in a private jet. That's the splitting of hairs that these people do. Anyway, I just wanted to mention all of that. I felt like it was pretty important. And this one too, this is along those same lines. However, this is something that keeps coming up because luckily people are starting to ask the question, was the moon landing reality or theater? New evidence you probably have not seen. This meme here is pretty funny. Today we salute the 400,000 people involved in faking 6 moon landings for keeping their mouths shut for 49 years. So this has John Moore. Many of you guys are familiar with him. John Moore, a retired investigator, was trained in military intelligence in Vietnam and was a paralegal and also worked as a homicide detective. Analyzes the evidence of the moon landings. He says that the moon landing is a huge government lie among many government lies, as the Van Allen radiation belt would kill humans before they could reach the moon. He explores a number of mysteries, including the non-human origin of the Black Knight satellite that is said to be 12,000 years old. So you guys can watch this video if you want. It's embedded here. And you guys know how I feel about that as far as the moon landing goes. Of course, it was total fraud. Now, I would say that it is feasible that humans have been to the moon, but just not the way that was stated. Getting in a rocket and flying there. I don't believe that's possible at all. I know many of you guys also do not believe that's possible. However, Steve Quayle and others have talked about jump rooms to various other planets. Perhaps there's a jump room to the moon. If humans have been on the moon, it would probably be through interdimensional travel, using a jump room or something like that. And that same thing has been talked about with regard to humans making it to Mars. Is that possible? I don't know. If you look at the biblical context through what's very likely that fallen angels are indeed part of our world here, then I think really anything's possible. So I would say no, it's not possible to get in a ship and fly to the moon. However, that doesn't necessarily mean humans have never been on the moon with the aid of fallen angel technology. But getting in a rocket and flying there is not fallen angel technology. My good friend, Mr. Bart Sibrel, has done in-depth work on the moon landing fraud, and I think is probably the best, in my opinion, the best source out there for exposing this crazy hoax that has taken the world by storm so many decades ago. And if you ask me, the whole thing was a lie, as far as the Apollo moon missions and so forth. So have a look at his website, Sibrel.com, Sibrel. And his book, Moon Man, is really, really good. He's got a deathbed confessional here of a security chief from the Cannon Air Force Base, which was the location of the filming of the moon landing fraud that happened in 1968. And they just re-aired it after they filmed the whole thing. They re-aired it in July of 1969, which was also, and I'm investigating this a little further, which was also the same exact month, not the same day, but the same exact month that Prince Charles was given his investiture and became the Prince of Wales. July 1969. Same month as the moon landing fraud happened. Coincidence? I don't know. If you're talking about someone who will later, many decades later, become the biblical Antichrist, I'm thinking that may not be just a coincidence, if you know what I mean. So anyway, let's keep moving here. Technocracy.news, got a couple articles for you here. Solari report, plunder capitalism could execute the largest land grab in history. Patrick Wood, the editor of the website here, says, pay attention to this. We could be on the verge of the greatest land grab in history. All of the land that the federal government unconstitutionally owns is on the radar of the incoming administration, in particular Elon Musk and the Secretary of Commerce nominee, Howard Lutnick. So you see all the red areas. Those are federal public land, surface and subsurface areas. All of the red areas, which is pretty vast areas of the West in particular. So could that change with the incoming Trump administration? Saying, of course, he lives to get inaugurated, which is a big if in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. Second article on Technocracy.news. Global first. Denmark starts taxing farm animals' burps, farts, and poop. No, that agriculture is becoming its largest share of climate pollution is patently and demonstrably false. Nevertheless, the tax on pollution has the aim to change behavior and eat more vegetarian diet with protein coming from insects. This descent into lunacy is dizzying. So yes, again, much of it is coming from the multi-billionaire Bill Gates. Could he be the false prophet of the Bible? I don't know. Just something to think about. ReclaimTheNet.org. The end of online anonymity. Australia's new law pushes for digital ID for everyone and to ban kids from social media. Yeah, well, you can see where they're going with this. They shut off the internet, and when they flip it back on, you may have to have a digital ID proving you're not a kid to even be able to access the internet. And of course, once you're able to access the internet, that won't be to things like this show or other things that you might like to go and look at on your own. No, it would just be for government-sanctioned websites. Something such as only CNN and only ABC and NBC and Fox News and all of the government-driven propaganda machine out there. something to think about. But yeah, digital ID, that's one direction they're hoping to go with this thing. Trump Surgeon General pick supports social media digital ID. Praised Facebook censorship of So yeah, the Surgeon General pick. Surgeon General is mostly I would say, not very important role. However, she has been very in the past and may in fact still be. So I've seen some people say, no, she's not now, but I kind of have my doubts on that. I mean, I would think that if she wasn't, she probably wouldn't get the nomination for this particular job, if you know what I mean. And then also Meta, Facebook is pushing for digital ID revolution here. So yeah, that seems to be where it's headed. Those are a few articles on Reclaim the Net. And then, let's see. You guys may have seen this. Everybody's thinking that she had been drinking. It says deflated-looking Harris reemerged on Tuesday, filming a quick video message for her supporters that was posted on X for the Democrat Party. So she doesn't look too good here, huh? Well, she didn't really before, but I think she may have aged 10 years too. So let's take a look at this video if we can get it to play here.
Don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
Yeah, old Kamala isn't looking too good, is she? Not good at all. Some people on Twitter in particular were asking her if she had been drinking. That is what it looks like. So anyway, not good. Now this is an article that I mentioned a little while ago. This is on a different website, justthenews.com. 11 state attorneys general sue BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard for allegedly violating antitrust laws. So I think that's good news. This is something that we'll link to in the Substack post that I send out on Tuesday. And speaking of Harris and her drunkenness and her failure at becoming elected, I think the old chickens are coming home to roost, as they might say. This is kind of interesting. I think that one of the main cheerleaders out there for the Democrat Party, really since the Clinton administration, has been James Carville, and he seems pretty ticked off here. He says $2.5 freaking billion. James Carville is on the warpath against the Kamala campaign, and it's torching of billions in donor cash. These fundraisers are burnt. The damage that the 2024 campaign has done to the Democrat brand is almost unfathomable. We're going to audit everything. We're going to audit the campaign. This is Carville talking. We think they raised $1.5 billion. Okay, we know that Future Forward, the last we saw, was $900 million. So we can assume that they got to $1 billion before the election. That's $2.5 freaking billion. Does anybody have any idea where that money? Well, I mean, I had some places I'd start looking. Let them fight. So there's a clip from a podcast he was a guest on, I guess, meaning James Carville. So I do think that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Not that anything will come of it, but at least people are talking about it. Yes, they had over $1 billion, and Carville's saying $2.5 freaking billion. And they came out, what was it, 20 million in the hole or something like that? Where did all that money go? Where did it go? Let's get out the audits, right? And then this one too. Again, more infighting with the Democrat Party. George Clooney fuming. He was seduced. How about that word that was used? He was seduced by Barack Obama to put the boot into Joe Biden before being blamed for the Trump win. Activist actor George Clooney is outraged after being manipulated by former President Barack Obama into lobbying for Kamala to take faltering Joe take his place in the 2024 election, and then getting thrown under the bus by his one-time buddy when she lost, meaning Barack Insane Obama. Pretty funny. All of the infighting is kind of what I'm saying is pretty funny here. George feels duped and vows that he's not going to be anyone's political water boy anymore. Nice suspenders, George. Did you guys ever watch Mork and Mindy? Didn't Mork, Robin Williams, the Robin Williams character, Mork from Ork, didn't he have rainbow suspenders? So, I do think that Mork from Ork was far superior to George Clooney, though. Anyway, pretty funny though. All of the infighting that's happening in the Democrat Party. All right, I came across this article. This will be interesting for you guys who are Anthony Patch followers. This is something that he's talked about over the years, and I find it kind of interesting. This is about Libra and Diem. You know, the potential one world monetary system, right? So this is a status update, I guess you could say, on Libra and Diem. And this is a post that was from a guy named David Marcus on X called How Libra Was Killed, because it was Libra first and then it became Diem. It was Libra and was founded by basically Facebook and Meta, amongst many other companies that were also involved. I never shared this publicly before, but since this person, which is Mark Andreessen, which there's been clips of this guy talking to Joe Rogan on his podcast. There's been clips all over X in particular, but all over the internet in general lately about some of the things that he brought up. Mark Andreessen, or Andreessen, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Anyway, he has come out with some really bombshell type things, especially having to do with fintech and you could just say debanking and things like that. I have not seen the full interview, but this is something that is connected to all of this. So since this guy, Mark Andreessen, opened the floodgates on Joe Rogan's podcast, it feels appropriate to shed more light on this. As a reminder, Libra, then Diem, was an advanced, high-performance, payments-centric blockchain paired with stablecoin that we built with my team at Meta. So this David Marcus guy was involved in the building out of Libra. It would have solved global payments at scale. Prior to announcing the project, we spent months briefing key regulators in DC and abroad. We then announced the project in June 2019 alongside 28 companies. Remember, there were several others that were involved with Meta, Facebook, as people who contributed, millions of dollars for the development of this digital money. 2 weeks later, I was called to testify in front of both the Senate Banking Committee and the House Financial Services Committee, which was the starting point of 2 years of nonstop work and changes to appease lawmakers and regulators. By spring of 2021, yes, they slow-played us at every step. We had addressed every last possible regulatory concern across financial crime, money laundering, consumer protection, reserve management, buffers, and so much more, and we were ready to launch. So they were real close on this. We had worked on a slow rollout of a limited pilot that had some members of the Fed's Board of Governors were supportive of. At last, Chairman Jay Powell was ready to let us move forward in a limited way. The story, as I heard it, is that Jay Powell was told by the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen at one of their biweekly meetings that allowing this project to move forward was, quote, political suicide, and she would not have his back if he let it happen. I wasn't in the room when this conversation happened, so take those words with a grain of salt, but effectively, this was the moment Libra was killed. Shortly thereafter, the Feds organized calls with all the participating banks, and the Fed's general counsel read a prepared statement to each of them saying, we can't stop you from moving forward and launching, but we are not comfortable with you doing so, and just like that, it was over. One essential point is worth making here. There was no legal or regulatory angle left for the government or regulators to kill the project. It was 100% a political kill. one that was executed through intimidation of captive banking institutions. That was the hardest part of this story for me personally. Not that we had failed, but that America, this country I immigrated to and became a proud citizen of its rule of law and value system, behaved in such a way for political reasons. It was a very tough pill to swallow. The bright side of the story, though, was that many learnings from this wild ride. By the end of the project, we had so many concessions to get a thumbs up that the whole design of the network became a Frankenstein of our initial ambitions. We also learned the biggest lesson of all, which is that if you're trying to build an open money grid for the world, eventually moving trillions of dollars per day, meaning transactional, designed to be here 100 years from now, you have to build it on the most neutral, decentralized, assailable network and asset, which hands down is Bitcoin. And now this is what many of us who went through this scarring journey are building together at LightSpark. And this time we won't stop until we get it done. This was posted again by David Marcus, who was on the Meta/Facebook team who developed Libra, which was then purchased by, I guess, brought in to another system called Diem. But now he's saying he's working at this company building something very similar, I guess, called LightSpark. So here is the Diem website, diem.com, D-I-E-M. Have a look at this if you want. But the Diem Group's assets were sold to Silvergate a couple of years ago. This is not new information. This is something we've talked about before on here, actually. So this is, again, Diem came from the Libra system. So they're very much, if not exactly the same, they're very, very similar. So now, though, apparently the thing to look at or watch for, is what you're hearing first right here, is this new system called LightSpark. So that's the website, lightspark.com. Real-time open payments for your business, for finance, for the internet, any currency, for Bitcoin, for your customers, for crypto wallets, for cross-border transactions, and so on. So again, something to watch. I'm not saying this will be the digital money system, the digital monetary system that will be tied to the Mark of the Beast system, where you will also have the digital ID, global ID. But I do think it's interesting. They are also talking about Bitcoin and how it could all work together. Very interesting, huh? Anyway, have a look at that website if you want. lightspark.com. And I will try to do some more research as well and see what I can find about LightSpark. But I do find it pretty interesting. All right, we were talking about the weather earlier. How about this? Upstate New York could get up to 6 feet of snow as New York City braces for a cold snap. I do know they had quite a bit of snow earlier, and it was still coming down pretty heavily. The weather outside will soon be frightful, it says. 6 feet of extreme snow in the city. So upstate New York is what they're talking about. So yeah. Geoengineering, right? Chemical ice nucleation. Trump taps longtime ally Kash Patel to lead the FBI, putting Christopher Wray on the chopping block. Interesting words that they use there, huh? Trump has selected Kash Patel to lead the FBI, closing one of the last remaining presidentially appointed positions available 2 months before taking office, and putting the current bureau boss, Christopher Wray's tenure on the chopping block before his term expires. Yes, well, note that as soon as Kash Patel was announced, which I think officially happened earlier today, maybe yesterday, I guess, then fake President Biden comes out and pardons his son. You suppose that was a coincidence? I don't either. Anyway, Trump picks loyalist deep state critic Patel to head the FBI. So, I'm sure you guys already heard about that, but it's official. So we'll see what happens. Trump officials to receive immediate clearances and easier FBI vetting. Well, if they kick Christopher Wray out, that might help. Says President-elect's team is planning for background checks to occur only after administration takes over the bureau. So that's interesting. So they're going to forego the background checks, at least with the FBI thing. So does that mean Kash Patel gets in there? I don't know. Something to keep our eyes on for sure. This one's kind of weird. Connecticut mansion engulfed in flames on Thanksgiving as residents fried turkey inside the garage. It seems like this happens every year. When will people learn don't deep fry your turkeys, or at least not your frozen turkeys? I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I wouldn't try and deep fry a frozen turkey, because that usually always causes some sort of massive problem. But it seems like there's always some story every single year about somebody doing just that. And yeah, they were trying to do it, the frying of the turkey, they were trying to do that right in the house, in the garage at least. It says a $3 million mansion in a high-end Connecticut neighborhood met a fiery demise on Thanksgiving when the home was inundated by flames from a turkey frying inside a garage. So it just shows to go you here that just because they were really rich doesn't mean they were very smart. So how about you guys? Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? I think these poor people can definitely say that the turkey is done. So's the entire house, unfortunately. Officials believe the blaze stemmed from the residents frying a turkey inside the home's garage, but have not revealed the official cause. Wow. These poor people. I feel sorry for them that they've lost everything, but on the other hand, wow, that they even tried to do that. Again, there's always a story about this every year, it seems like. Very, very strange. So more on the house fires coming up. We've got another interesting little thing that I want to bring your attention to that have to do with the Rothschilds. So we'll look at that in just a minute. Okay, for you Nissan owners out there, you know who you are. I found this article, and it was a little surprising to me. I guess I didn't really know they were having an issue necessarily. It says Nissan has 12 to 14 months left to survive. The company may sell a majority stake to Honda. Things aren't looking good at Nissan. Dealers are selling cars at a loss. This is on Motor1.com. Production has slowed, and more recently, the company cut thousands of jobs and sold a third of its stake in Mitsubishi. It may have all been too little too late. A new report suggests that the automaker's days are numbered. In an interview in Financial Times, two unnamed Nissan executives said the company has 12 to 14 months to survive. It's going to be tough, and in the end, we need Japan and the U.S. to be generating cash, they said. Companies reportedly looking for a new long-term investor, such as a bank or a large insurance group, to replace some of Renault's equity holdings. So apparently Renault is also involved as well. Renault is even considering selling a portion of its shares to Honda. The French automaker is reportedly looking to restructure its 25-year alliance with Nissan. So I didn't even know Renault was connected to Nissan, but apparently they are. So anyway, thought that was pretty wild about Nissan. So we will have to see what happens there. I'd hate to see them go under, but yeah, not looking too good, I guess. Now, this one I thought was kind of interesting. This is you hear about the LGBT ABC XYZ folks. You don't usually hear of stories of detransitioning. And that's what this is. It says rock singer says he's a man again 11 years after coming out as a trans woman. But he's a man again now. No, he never was not a man. Kind of ridiculous, but this is where we are. The lead singer of the rock band Life of Agony, how about that name? I bet their music is also agony. Just guessing. Has announced that he's detransitioning to live as a man again. This guy's 50 and he doesn't know any better. He says surgery has been booked to remove his fake breasts and he will be lovingly living back in his divine male self. What took you so long, dude? This is the gimmicks that people come up with when they can't write good music. This is coming from someone who makes his living in the music business, i.e. myself. I know what I'm talking about. I guarantee you that this band's songs are terrible. And now ask me if I've bothered to go try and listen to them. No. There's no point. if you need that gimmick to sell your music and to sell your brand, then you have terrible music. That's what I think. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny that he's going back to becoming a man when he never left being a man in the first place. He was just pretending to be a woman. Oh boy. All right. So let's see here. A couple articles from RT. Big story lately has been what's going on with the Israel and Lebanon truce. They have a ceasefire going on. So got a few articles on this whole situation. Israel hits weapons smuggling site in Syria, according to the IDF. The strike took place days after a truce was reached with Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Israeli Air Force announced on Saturday that its jets have hit what it says was a Hezbollah-linked site in Syria. Well, all they have to do is say it, and therefore it must be true. Because, again, it's coming from Israel. They never lie. Yeah. The strike came just days after Israel and the Lebanese-based armed group agreed to a ceasefire mediated by the U.S. and France. Both sides have since accused each other of violations, with Israel carrying out more strikes on southern Lebanon on Friday. So how about that ceasefire? It was nothing but words. They never stopped. So one thing that I've heard, though, is that the ceasefire was only really agreed to so that they could take the machinery, the equipment to do the bombings and stuff and move it over to Syria. Because if you don't know, Lebanon and Syria are right there beside each other, and so they just basically moved it. They said, yeah, we're going to have a ceasefire, and they moved some of it out of the way in Lebanon so they could go bomb stuff and blow things up in Syria. So that sounds like Israel, doesn't it? Syria pushes back terrorist forces. The arrival of reinforcements allowed 2 towns near the city of Hama to be recaptured. Syrian army has thwarted a terrorist offensive near the city of Hama and inflicted significant casualties on the insurgents, the state-run Sana agency reported today. So talking about Assad and what's going on in Syria. So yeah, it's not looking too good. Kind of brings Damascus ceasing to exist to mind a little bit. At least it does to me. And what is that, Isaiah 17? Well, let's see. It says, who's behind the new Syria war flare-up? The interplay of external forces mirrors broader trends of rivalry among major powers, including the likelihood of a large-scale conflict. They mean between Syria and Israel. So again, quite a few stories over here on RT.com. Pretty wild. I still have this pulled up from a couple weeks ago. This is the President of the United States, the Council, and the Council Emeritus. Mentioned them a couple weeks ago. Yep, a lot of familiar faces there. All right, peoplesvoice.tv, the peoplesvoice.tv. Top headlines over there. We have Romania's next president declares war on satanic pedophilia. The elite's reign ends now, he says. Wow. Romania. Meta secretly pressuring Trump administration for mandatory digital IDs in America. Do you think Trump will go for it? I think there's a really good chance he might. So we've been talking about digital IDs and one world monetary system and one world government and all these things, even the actual Antichrist. We've mentioned a lot of these things tonight, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this stuff start to unfold in 2025 and even further in. But yeah, 2025 is going to be a very interesting year for sure. World War III fears mount as NATO announces plan to carpet bomb Russia. Carpet bomb Russia. Oh yeah, that won't cause any problems. Russia accuses West of covering up Ukraine's use of chemical weapons. So that's what they would do. Yep. Al-Qaeda-linked rebels head towards Syrian capital after capturing Aleppo. So yeah, there were some rumors. I don't know if it's true, but there were some rumors that Assad has left Syria and gone to Moscow. Now, whether or not that was just a meeting with Putin or what that was exactly, we don't know. But that does sound very plausible if you look at Al-Qaeda, which is really controlled and funded by the West, including the U.S. and Israel. Al-Qaeda, yep, that Al-Qaeda. That would kind of make sense that Assad would be running for his life if that's what's going on. Al-Qaeda-linked rebels are making news again. The terrorists are advancing south towards the Syrian capital of Damascus after capturing Aleppo. So what happens if Al-Qaeda, who is, again, run and funded by Israel and the U.S., but you're not supposed to know that little detail, they go in and capture Damascus, and Israel says, oh, look, we must defend Damascus. We're going to blow it off the map. Just an idea. I mean, but I could easily see Israel doing something like that. And then you have Isaiah 17 playing out. France claims Iran is close to acquiring nuclear weapons. Yeah, Iran has been 2 weeks from getting nuclear weapons for like 40 years? I don't know. They're always 2 weeks away from getting nuclear weapons. Yeah. Trump threatens BRICS countries with 100% tariffs. That's going to go over well. Now we'll see what I mean, he's trying to bring back the U.S. economy. I understand that, but I don't know. We'll see how it all unfolds. Border czar Homan vows to investigate Biden regime over planned migrant invasion. So that's good news. So here's a couple of People's Voice articles that I pulled up just separately here. Ellen DeGeneres, Ellen's UK mansion was destroyed by floodwater weeks after fleeing the U.S. amid the Diddy scandal. She looks pretty distraught. So Ellen's mansion in the Cotswolds, England, has reportedly been devastated by severe flooding sweeping through the region. The incident comes just weeks after she fled the U.S. amid the escalating Diddy scandal. Well, that's not what she said, though. She claimed she left the U.S. to get away from the new Trump presidency here. But we know the truth, don't we? Says the floodwaters are rising by the hour. This is the worst I've seen it in years, a local resident told the Daily Mail. According to the outlet, the 43-acre property DeGeneres shares with her wife is now enveloped by a swamp-like lake following days of torrential rain and winds up to 80 miles an hour. She wanted to get the H out of the U.S. after Trump won. However, sources close to the federal investigation into Diddy suggest that Ellen DeGeneres has far more to worry about than the Trump presidency. So here's a little bit of the flooding. Wow. Pretty deep. But the geese seem to be enjoying themselves. So anyway, pretty wild. That old climate change will get you. All right, information liberation. Mentioned it last week. Jared Kushner. Trump's pick Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's criminal father, for the ambassador to France. Sounds like an important role. Biden administration urges Ukraine to draft 18-year-olds as Russian gains accelerate. Israel bombs neighborhoods in Lebanon ahead of the approving of the ceasefire. Well, as we just mentioned earlier, there was no ceasefire, really. They were still bombing places. Russia advancing in Ukraine at the fastest pace since early 2022. Poll, 57% of Americans support Trump to start program to deport all illegal immigrants. 57%. Yep, that sounds like a majority to me. All right, and then let's see. I found this one. I thought this was kind of interesting. Another music one for you here. U.S. authorities seize over $18 million in fake Gibson guitars from Asia. Gibson Guitars is based here in Nashville, where I am, so I thought this was kind of interesting. Authorities intercepted more than 3,000 counterfeit Gibson guitars that could have sold for over $18 million to buyers who thought they were genuine, according to a Tuesday statement from Customs and Border Protection. Gibson confirmed the guitars were fakes after representatives of U.S. Customs, Homeland Security, and the L.A. County Sheriff's Department intercepted the cargo from ocean shipping crates. The old ocean shipping crates, huh? Authentic Gibson guitars are only made in the U.S., yes, here in Nashville. I used to know a guy that worked there. The guitar company said guitars like this may look and feel like the real thing to unsuspecting buyers, and shoppers should keep that in mind this holiday season. So if you're going to buy a Gibson guitar for someone, be very careful. Meaning for a Christmas present or whatever. Of course, they've seized all these, but that doesn't mean there aren't other fakes out there. Pretty wild. All right. Back to the house fires thing here for just a second. We mentioned that earlier. This is a different house fire. A Rothschild family heir, Will Rothschild, died in a Los Angeles house fire. I don't think he was frying a turkey, though. This was before that. But listen to this. It took 33 minutes to put out the fire the day before Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving was 33 days from the end of the year and the 333rd day of the year. Rothschild. All those 33rds. Weird. Very interesting, huh? That's on dailycrow.com. The actual article to the Rothschild family fire here is a Newsweek link. We'll link to that in the Substack post that I send out on Tuesday. This is kind of weird. This is another strange article. A man who launched furniture off of a 20-story Midtown Manhattan high-rise, nearly killing pedestrians, is what? Well, he's a Haitian migrant. Isn't that nice? Launching furniture and I would say other things. That right there wasn't a piece of furniture. Off of a 20-story Midtown Manhattan high-rise. First of all, what's he doing there? And second of all, why is he just throwing stuff off of the 20th story? He's literally just tossing stuff over. But guess what? He's a Haitian migrant, so he can do whatever he wants. Very strange. Probably some voodoo ritual. Strange things happening in New York City. All right. A couple of articles on Forbidden Knowledge TV. Stephen Greer, Black Budget, Stargate, Raytheon, Lockheed, Skunkworks, UAP, UFO Secrets. Sean Ryan Show, Stephen Greer. I personally do not trust Stephen Greer. I have some good friends who really think very highly of him and think that he is 100% real. I personally don't get that. I don't get that vibe from him at all. I think he's, I'm not saying that he's necessarily like CIA or something, but man, he has a huge following. And let's just say, I don't think that he's someone that we should put our trust in, you know what I mean? And you can definitely say that from the standpoint of being a believer, which he is not. So he's super new age. Yeah, Emily say I don't trust Greer either. Yeah, I don't, and I definitely take anything he says with a huge grain of salt. But anyway, the video's on there if you guys are interested. All hail President Kang. Thought that was kind of interesting. Another UFO story. They have a lot of UFO stories on this website. Didn't really know that they did, but they do this week. I did not see this coming. UFOs over DC reenact 1952 Nazi Capitol flyover. So that's another article on here. Mysterious military UFO encounter with a levitating monolithic granite slab. How about that? Stephen Michael Digna Jr., incredible UAP witness testimony. So lots of UFOs and stuff on this site this week. Putin says Trump will come up with a solution. I guess he means to the war. I don't know. Unacknowledged full documentary. That is Stephen Greer's full-length film that he put out, which I have not seen, but it's there if you guys want to watch it. And then Colonel Don Heckert, YouTube pilot UFO testimony. So lots of UFO articles, interesting things over there. And then Leo Hohmann's newest article, globalist sociopaths have not surrendered. They have merely switched sides. We mentioned the hypocrite John Kerry here. He's front and center on this article. Won't bother going into that anymore tonight, but it is there if you guys are interested in leohohmann.com, and this is his Substack as well. U.S.-led NATO now openly discussing preemptive precision strikes on Russia. So anyway, several Substack articles. He doesn't put everything on his website anymore. He pretty much puts all of his articles on Substack. So if you want to follow along on there, he's got a good Substack blog posts that he puts out pretty much every week. All right, top articles on Natural News. Your private call and text data was just stolen by China because it hacked U.S. government's illegal surveillance tool that spies on all of us. Isn't that nice? No, it probably wasn't actually hacked. They just gave him the keys to the front door and said, come on in. That's what I think. Freezing temperatures expected in tent cities across Helene-ravaged North Carolina. FEMA assistance is still lacking. Imagine that. I agree. I think that people need to go to jail. I mean, that is the way you stop this kind of stuff from happening. People need to be held accountable. And there are a lot of people in this Biden administration who need to be held accountable. People need to go to jail. It's that simple. Now, will they? I have my doubts. But at least we do have the chance that could happen with Trump in there. There would be no chance had Kamala won. So no chance at all. So anyway, I wanted you guys to see that video. I thought that was interesting about what's going on in North Carolina. So yeah. And then there's a kind of a follow-up article here on Natural News. Freezing temperatures expected in tent cities. And you guys saw some video there. So anyway, and then let's see. Human Rights Watch denounces Israeli airstrike in Lebanon that killed journalists as war crime. So, and here's another one. Prepper's Guide to Using Essential Oils. Interesting. So, some pretty good articles and headlines over there on naturalnews.com. Always a good site. This is a video that I watched a few days ago. Actually, it was, I think, last weekend, and I just forgot to mention it last week, but I thought this was pretty good. This was, I think, probably worth a watch. It's by Mike Adams with this guy, Jermar Rudolph. Reveals shocking questions about Holocaust history. And no, he's not a Holocaust denier. It's just questioning the official narrative. And he raises some really, really good points here. So feel free to look at this. We'll link to this in the Substack post that I send out on Tuesday. The most banned interview guest in the world, Jermar Rudolph, reveals shocking questions about Holocaust history. Yeah, this guy's had to move to the U.S. so that he could stay out of trouble over there in Germany because, some of the things he was talking about was getting him in trouble. And the website he's promoting here, I guess is his site, HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. So feel free to look at that if you guys want. But the interview is pretty good. And, of course, he's putting into question, let's see, let's just say the numbers in particular that were touted, all of the Jews who were killed and so forth. And it may not exactly be what we think it was. Let's just put it that way. I guess Kathy saw an excellent interview. Anyway, yeah, that was from a few days ago now, but it's certainly worth a watch. It's not really anything that's time sensitive, so you can watch it whenever. All right, winepressnews.com, spending addiction. Majority of Americans resort to financing to afford Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. So yes, going into more debt to buy more stuff. Always a good plan. Escalation. France allows Ukraine to fire Scalp missiles into Russian territory. More of the same. Agricultural giant Corteva introduces first of its kind drought-resistant wheat crop. Now, why do you suppose they would need that? It's not like it's being geoengineered or anything, and it's not like they have aluminum-resistant seed crops as well, right? Yep. And then, let's see here. New study reveals 75% of the U.S. population is overweight or obese. Yeah, well, most of it is the food. Most of it is the food. Yes, the people are at fault as well, but it's the food in our country that's the problem, in particular. So, anyway, there's quite a few headlines and articles to check out on Wine Press News. Let's see, I think I mentioned this one last week. AI can now clone your personality, values, and preferences in 2 hours, according to a new study. Opens the door for scammers. So that's something to watch out for as well. So yeah, Wine Press News is a good site. I didn't really pull up any new ones on the Gateway Pundit this week, but we can take a look at a few of the most recent headlines. It says Arnold Schwarzenegger swatted with fake bomb threat on Thanksgiving. So he was swatted. That's interesting. Usually it's the left that is swatting people, so they must have gotten fed up with old Arnold. 25-year-old missing person case solved after nonverbal man is brought to the hospital. Wow. What else do we have here? Joe Rogan says psyop by media against Donald Trump has distorted who Trump really is. You suppose? Yeah. Trump reportedly in discussions to appoint White House crypto czar as Bitcoin reaches all-time highs since his election. And we were just talking about Bitcoin earlier with the digital monetary system that, what was it called? Spark? Let's see, here it is. Light Spark. So, yeah, kind of interesting. Revival happening. Bible sales are booming in 2024. Building America's AI arsenal. No thanks. So there's always some good articles over here on the Gateway Pundit. I didn't pull up anything separately necessarily, but they have some pretty good things to take a look at. Activist Post, there was this first one, and we'll look at that a little closer here in a second. Co-opting freedom. Bitcoin sleight of hand, the new AI control structure. So again, with the Bitcoin. How to end the Fed. That would be nice. The, let's see, U.S. firms compete for huge contracts to control North Gaza security. Yeah, imagine, and rebuild Gaza as well, right? But they're not going to rebuild it. They're going to rebuild it as Gaza 2030, which is just going to be for the Israelis. So yeah, probably will be some huge contracts. Meta plans $10 billion undersea global fiber network in W formation to avoid sabotage. In a W formation, you can see it here. So yeah. And then AI models that copies human personality opens questions on deepfakes. We mentioned that last week, or something very similar to that. All right, this top article here. Meet the spyware companies preparing to unleash their tech during Trump's second term. I do think Trump wants to be the technology president, don't you guys? Seems like it. A small but growing number of private companies selling digital tools to hack smartphones and messaging apps like WhatsApp and Signal are likely to benefit financially from the incoming Trump administration. In late September, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement signed a $2 million one-year contract with controversial Israeli spyware vendor Paragon Solutions. Israeli spyware. The contract involved Paragon's U.S. subsidiary based in Chantilly, Virginia, and ICE's Homeland Security Investigations Division 3. Paragon claims its tools can help law enforcement and governments remotely crack encrypted messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, and Facebook Messenger. Not nice. So the Israelis have it figured out, and Trump's going to be all for it. Nice. Anyway, that's on Activist Post. And then a couple of Not the Bee articles. I thought this was pretty wild. We'll just let this play. It says, this turkey, this is in memory of the recent holiday here, Thanksgiving. This turkey decided to take on a golfer on the back nine, and someone filmed it for our enjoyment. So you can see what happens here. Says, I bet this turkey's name is Inigo Montoya, and he's telling this golfer to prepare to die. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone except this guy, I guess. So this turkey is not really like being messed with this guy's golf club. Says, my man, don't you realize this bird is on the back nine to avenge his father? Have you guys seen The Princess Bride? Classic movie. Anyway, pretty wild. It's like a attack turkey or something. Anyway, that's on Not to Be. And then, so is this one. The most entertaining thing might be about to happen. What is it? It says this would be instant job security for me. Just in, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could run for president in 2028. That would be hilarious. Of course, if we make it to 2028, which you know how I feel about that. If that doesn't scream, I'm running for president, I don't know what does. Yeah, this is talking about where she fakes having handcuffs. She puts her hands behind her back when the guy takes her off from this protest, and she puts her hands behind her back like she's being handcuffed. So anyway, and then of course her infamous Madden live stream that she did with Tim Walz. So anyway, kind of funny, bit silly. The turkey's definitely more entertaining. But AOC for president, wow. That would be wild. Ceasefire with Lebanon, a win for Biden or the Trump effect? Well, I don't think there was actually a ceasefire, according to what we read earlier. They called it a ceasefire, but then they proceeded to continue the bombing. So, according to my definition of ceasefire, I don't think that quite fits, but maybe it does for the Israelis. I don't know. Anyway, this article's on Israel 365. I won't bother with that one. You guys can take a look if you want. Speaking of AOC, this is the woke and woker instead of dumb and dumber. You can see AOC in 2028. I will avenge you, she says. I guess Kamala's all for it. And then this one, you know, there are a number of people who would love to see me run again in 2028, Harris says. They're Republicans, Madam Vice President. Yep. Top stories here from modernity.news. I thought this article was probably not the best wording you could have used, given tampon Trudeau's proclivities that he's been rumored to have. But it says, Trudeau bends the knee to Trump at Mar-a-Lago after tariff pledge. Canadian Prime Minister Tampon Trudeau was pictured meeting with Trump and his team at Mar-a-Lago over Thanksgiving. It has emerged that he has made an agreement to crack down on drug trafficking. The meeting came following Trump's announcement of a 25% tariff on all products coming from Mexico and Canada until they agree to secure their borders. 25% tariff. In a Truth Social post earlier this week, Trump wrote on January 20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada 25% tariff on all products coming into the U.S. and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Now, for those out there who you know who you are, who are super disappointed in all of these Trump cabinet picks and all these top picks that he's done, yes, I am myself very disappointed in them. Would you get this with a Kamala Harris as president? Would you? Be honest. Now, do you think he will carry through with this? I think he will. Personally. I could be wrong, but I really think that he will. Says, he continued, both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and power to easily solve this long simmering problem. We hereby demand that they use this power, and until such time as they do, it is time for them to pay a very big price. Fast forward 4 days, and Trudeau was seen sitting with Trump, Musk, and the rest of his team, and smiling like he didn't have it in for him and didn't actually celebrate with Biden on every time they brought up new charges against Trump. But Trump probably thinks that Trudeau's his friend. Anyway. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But again, that is not something you would get with a Kamala presidency for sure. Wicked movie. You guys know about the Wicked movie? Wicked movie mocked for warning about discrimination against people with green skin. The film version of the musical Wicked is being roundly slammed for a warning that to audiences that it features scenes with a person with green skin is discriminated against. More specifically, it is actually the British Board of Film Classification, BBFC, that has cautioned UK viewers, so you American viewers who go watch this won't see this. UK viewers are being cautioned that the green-skinned Elphaba is unfairly mocked in scenes. So, British Film Board slaps Ariana Grande blockbuster Wicked with a trigger warning over discrimination against green-skinned people and persecuted talking animals. A green-skinned woman is mocked, bullied, and humiliated because of her skin color, the warning reads. All right, you guys know about the massively popular modern art where you have the banana duct taped to a wall, or whatever it's duct taped to. Yeah, duct taped to a wall. Well, this guy might be your new hero. This billionaire, his name is Justin Sun, S-U-N. He paid $6.2 million for the banana duct taped to a wall, and he followed through on his promise by buying it and eating the banana. Yes, really. The crypto entrepreneur bought the piece of art, quote unquote, comedian by Italian artist Maurizio Catalan during an auction at Sotheby's in New York, where he outbid 6 other people. If you think Sun consuming the banana was some kind of sardonic troll of the vacuity of modern art world, think again. After buying the banana, Sun pretentiously stated, "This is not just a piece of art. It represents a cultural phenomenon that bridges the worlds of art, memes, and the cryptocurrency community." There he is, ripping the tape off of the banana. I mean, how old is that banana by now? Do they replace it regularly, maybe? I don't know. They have to, because it's still yellow. Otherwise, it would have been black. So, founder of Tron cryptocurrency tucked into the priciest banana in the world after buying the artwork for $6.2 million. It's much better than other bananas. It's really quite good, he said. So at least somebody ate it. And now it's gone. Now, they probably just replace a banana every so often and it will live forever, unfortunately. But I thought that was pretty wild. And then we mentioned this earlier. Drunk says speculation rages after Kamala's disheveled video message. Yeah, again, she looks about 10 years older in this video. I don't know what they did to her. I don't know who thought this was a good idea for her to get in front of the camera and just talk. I mean, granted, she's reading a teleprompter, but still, not a good plan. Not a good look there, Kamala. Top headlines on vaccine impact. The demonic roots of Christianity, the Christians Jesus said he hated. Says, I have frequently documented over the years that there is no new religion called Christianity that is found anywhere in the New Testament portion of the Bible, and that Christianity was codified into an official religion in the 4th century under Roman Emperor Constantine. The original apostles and disciples of Jesus Christ were all Jews, and they distinguished themselves from other Jews by claiming to be members of the Way, which was a term taken from the words of Jesus Christ himself, that he spoke to them shortly before he was executed by the satanic Jews. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus himself distinguished between the Jews who believed in him and who were called his disciples, and the Jews who rejected him as the Messiah, whom he said follows Satan as their father. However, Christians, quote unquote, are referred to 3 times in the New Testament. Who were those people called Christians, and were they viewed favorably by the true believers in Jesus Christ who were members of the way. So there is an interesting premise for an article. That one's on Vaccine Impact. The next one is, why did Putin say Trump is, quote, not safe? NATO at the brink of all-out war with Russia. Why did he say it wasn't safe? Well, I think it was because he was admitting that they were actively trying to kill Trump. That's what's being talked about there, I think. Musk declares that he owns everyone's Twitter account, X, to become most censored social media platform in the world, question mark. I personally don't think so, but that's what this article writer is saying. That's what he's insinuating. It's funny that they've got this this meme here. If you look really close, right above my head, right there, it says 666 million followers. No, that wasn't done on purpose or anything. Pretty funny. U.S. government bails out big tech, failing big tech companies for billions. That's what they do. Russia threatens airstrikes with new missile on American bases in the Middle East, Alaska, Hawaii, Montana, and North Dakota. Wow. Russian media is reporting today that airstrikes inside Russia are continuing with ATACMS missiles launched from Ukraine. They have vowed to retaliate. Yeah, so it will remain to be seen what they do. If they're going to use more of these Oreshnik systems, which I personally think they will. Not necessarily nuclear, but I do think that they will use them to prove even more of a point. We talked about it last week. It wasn't duds. It was the way these systems work. It literally like powderified everything that it hit, turned it into powder. So yeah, not good. Not good. After Biden approved long-range, quote-unquote, long-range missiles to Ukraine to launch into Russia, Russia redefines long-range with new undetectable missile, which is that's the hypersonic Oreshnik that we mentioned, Oreshnik missiles. So anyway, those are the newest articles on Vaccine Impact. Day in sight for this week, we have Geoengineering Watch Global Alert News, November 30th. The U.S. is building an early warning system to detect geoengineering. Article from the New York Times. We mentioned that at the beginning of the show. How absurd is that? To monitor themselves? Major lake effect snow event halting travel around the Great Lakes. Maps show danger from lake effect snow. Cold blast brings major lake effect snow to several states. These are different headlines. From devastating drought to destructive deluge, from crushing chemical snow, the awareness is finally starting to grow. Florida is the latest U.S. state to push back against climate engineering, with proposed legislation to ban such operations, which again, we mentioned at the beginning of this show. So the Global Alert News video is below here. It's embedded. It's the same on all the platforms this week, YouTube and Spotify, and also it was on the radio yesterday. And then, let's see, where else is it? Well, it's also on his BitChute channel and his Rumble channel. So make sure you're subscribed to Dane Wigington and geoengineeringwatch.org for further updates on that stuff. So let's see here. The scheduled weather for this week looks an awful lot like last week. The coldest areas seem to be right there where all the snow is, in the northeast. But yes, we have the split down the middle with the warm west and the cold east, meaning chemically ice nucleating the eastern half of the United States. They're doing that on purpose to keep us all confused, which I'm not confused. I'm sure you're not either, but keep much of the public confused about the actual state of the climate. Keep the west hot or warm, and they keep the east cold or cool. Because they can do that with the moisture, pumping the moisture up from the Gulf, and they can chemically ice nucleate and cool down vast areas, which is exactly what's going on. Anyway, that was the articles I had for you guys this week. Let's see here. Oh, we got a couple videos here. We can play a couple clips here. I thought this was kind of interesting. Australia Senate, the Australian Senate censures a member who yelled at King Charles III. I saw the headline. I'm like, wow, what's going on here? So this is a Australian senator. So let's hear what she has to say.
And if the colonising king were to come to my country again, our country, then I'll do it again. And I will keep doing it. You don't have some random king rock up and say that he's sovereign.
It's what you stole from us! Our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people! You destroyed our land! Give us a treaty! We want a treaty in this country! You are a genocide!
Senator Thorpe, I have called you to order. Senator Thorpe, I have called you to order.
Australia has all the natural ingredients to create a more sustainable future.
I have constant support of your wife and Your Majesty, our Queen, the many qualities Australians seek in you. There is none stronger.
Motions as moved by Senator Wong be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Against? I believe the ayes have it.
Can I say the government moves these motions reluctantly? We all know both senators are engaging in these behaviours precisely in order to get attention, engaging in actions and stunts designed to create storms on social media but offering nothing of substance to improve anyone's life. These are actions which seek to incite outrage and grievance, actually to boost their own profiles. And this is part of a trend that we do see internationally, but which, quite frankly, we do not need here in Australia.
You stole from us! Our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people! You destroyed our land! Give us a treaty!
Whenever Labor wants to get really down, dirty and desperate, what do? They side with the Libs. And here we have it. She's trying to shut me down. You've only just given me more media, more exposure. And if the colonising king were to come to my country again, our country, then I'll do it again. And I will keep doing it. I will resist colonisation in this country. I swear my allegiance to the real sovereigns of these lands. First Peoples are the real sovereigns. You don't have some random king rock up and say that he's sovereign. Allegiance, censure motion is like that to me. I don't give a damn about censure motion. In fact, I'm going to use it for kindling later on in the week. Enjoy the colony.
All right. How about that? She was a interesting lady, huh? She was having no part of it. Pretty wild. I guess it had to do with the indigenous peoples in Australia. But yeah, she did not care for the self-admitted sovereign. I played a few weeks ago now, I played a video clip of the king in Australia, and he did call himself, he referred to himself as sovereign, which he thinks he actually is. Of course, you might think that if you are going to become the biblical Antichrist very soon. But thought that was kind of interesting about this Australian senator. Pretty crazy. And then this one, this one's one that I will play as well. I'll just leave it muted. It's not really the full video. It's just a clip of this. I thought this was kind of interesting. You can kind of see, we've talked about Charles on this show many times. You can see, many familiar faces here of how he's greeted, how people just, worship the guy, and how he has literally everyone, all of these world leaders at his beck and call. I thought this little clip of this video does a good job of showing how these people are fawning all over this guy. And, I know a lot of people out there don't believe Charles could be the biblical Antichrist, but when you think about it, at least when I think about it, I don't think it could be anyone else but him at this point, given the fact that this guy behind the scenes is doing all the things that he's doing, controlling so much of the world's resources and so much money, so many of the different countries that are part of the Commonwealth, and the trillions at his disposal, literally. He really does have an awful lot of power. Yes, from the American perspective, he's kind of a sort of a doofus. But see that face he just made? That was weird. But I think from the world standpoint, there's a lot of people that, a lot of countries even, that really worship this guy. So how's it all going to play out? Will there be some sort of an attempt on his life that result in people just becoming amazed that he lived through it, and then he at that point becomes fully indwelled with Satan? I don't believe he's... I know Tim Cohen is in several of his videos that I've heard, he has put forth the idea that Charles is indwelled with Satan now. And he may be, we just don't have any way of knowing, but I feel like that evil would truly come out if that were the case, I think, all the time. Maybe just my opinion on that, but look who he's meeting there. He's got Zelensky right next to him in his wonderful wardrobe that he always has on, the green military shirt, the green jumpsuit. Anyway, I think it's a good demonstration of how the people in power in the world really look up to Charles and worship him in a sense. And they're all intimidated by him. You can see how people look at him. So, is he going to be the biblical Antichrist? The biblical Antichrist. I think he will be. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. I felt like this little short clip in this video that I found earlier today was a pretty good demonstration, just with him meeting all the, fraternizing with all of the so-called important people out there, which, that's certainly debatable as well, but pretty wild. Anyway, that was the, it goes on. There's no point in really going any further with that, but yeah, you can see that he doesn't appear to be suffering from cancer, does he? So, very, very interesting. Well, make sure you're on the Substack if you're not already. Substack, diamonddisc.substack.com is where it is, and that's where I send out it's basically a blog post, but it comes out as an email in your inbox. I'll send that out on Tuesday. That'll have the links to all of the different articles and things that I talked about tonight, including the videos in it. So you guys can check out things further if you want to. We can only dive so deep on a show like this, but notice there were no commercials tonight, and there were no commercials last week either, or the week before that, or the week before that. If you happen to see any commercials on Rumble, and hello to the Rumblers out there who are here, those are inserted by Rumble. That is not inserted by me. I don't have any control over that. They just do that. That's how they pay for their platform. And then with YouTube, I've been demonetized, and I mentioned last week that Dane Wigington's channel has been demonetized now too on YouTube. So it's kind of interesting how they decide to lower the hammer on people on certain channels. But obviously, it's not about the money. They don't really care about the money. They just want to censor people and their speech. So therefore, if they don't like what you're saying, you can make no money then. And they think they're shutting you down or hurting you somehow, which, for a lot of YouTubers, it really does. But in my case, I've never monetized YouTube and don't really care to anyways. So what I would ask, though, is if you want to support this channel, you want to support what I'm doing, first and foremost, subscribe. That really helps. And then sharing the show really helps, obviously, as well. There's no commercials on this show ever, and I'm not selling you anything. I'm not trying to sell you gold and silver or water purification systems or storable food or any of that stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That needs to be something that you guys are looking into yourselves and deciding whether that's something that you guys need to invest in for your family. But that's not something that I sell, and therefore have no monetary stake in any of that. But if you want to support what I'm doing, you can do that through Substack. You can also do that through Subscribestar, which is been linked here from Miss Emily in the chat on not only on YouTube but also on Rumble as well. So it's subscribestar.com/Diamond Disc, and Diamond Disc is just the name of my company, business name. That's what that is, Diamond Disc Audio. So anyways, that is what I had for you guys tonight, and thank you for the our two heroes who signed up last week for the Diamond Report on Subscribestar. We are now officially over the 5 subscriber limit. We have 6 total. But of course, usually what happens is as soon as I say something like that, then someone will drop off. That seems like that kind of stuff happens all the time. But it is there. It's available on Subscribestar. And yeah, we made it to the, woohoo. Emily says, yeah, we made it to the 5 subscriber threshold there that Subscribestar has, and what that means is that the automated rolling monthly billing will kick in now, and the people who are subscribed don't have to manually click the pay button every month, which is one of the problems with being under 5 subscribers on Subscribestar. And the other problem is you can't really get a payout anyways at that level. So anyway, thank you guys for subscribing on Subscribestar. You guys are my heroes. That really does help a lot. We're up to 6 now, so that's awesome, and would love to increase that even more to kind of build in a little bit more cushion so I don't fall back below the 5. That would be bad. But yeah, it's different increments are available there, anywhere from $5 a month up. So thank you guys very much for contributing to the show that way. It really helps me a lot. And I'm paying for this show out of my pocket otherwise, so, which is fine, but sometimes, it can kind of get expensive when you're buying new equipment and software, and time is money, as you guys know as well. I put many, many hours into this show. So, yes, thank you. I love you guys too and appreciate your work. And you can see some of the wonderful people who are part of the audience on this show by going into the band group. If you join the band group, you can tell that there are people here that are part of this group who really know what they're talking about. And you can tell that by some of the things they post in Band. Band is a small group of like-minded people who, and it's not a dating site. I'll keep that in mind. I'm going to mention that again. It's not a dating site, but it is a good place to go and join if you are looking for people who believe in similar things that you probably do as well. Like, number one, first and foremost, being a believer in Jesus Christ and putting your salvation in Him. That is our first and top priority, and really only priority other than the truth, putting out the truth. And, for some people, it's different, like, there are certain things that I think that you guys don't agree with, and there are certain things you guys think that I don't necessarily agree with, but we're not a cult, and we all can have differing opinions and still be friends. So that's the way we're trying to build this group in Band. So it's free to join, and anybody's welcome except for trolls and bots. If you're a troll or if you're a bot, you're going to get kicked out because you're going to try and sell us Taylor Swift tickets. I know who you are. Now, it's really weird. It's happened multiple times. We've had a bot or a troll join and try and sell people in this audience Taylor Swift tickets. And we're like, no, I think you've reached the wrong audience for your Taylor Swift ticket selling. So we kick them out. Now, it wasn't probably even a person, or if it was just somebody trying to scam money. So those kind of people and profiles get deleted, but the people that we do want are people who are genuine, actual humans who want to engage in the actual sharing of information. Yeah, it's happened 3 or 4 times, so I just have to laugh. I know, it's crazy. And it's always from a different person's name, so that's what tells me it's probably a bot. So anyway, yeah, the Band link is in chat as well, I think. It's band.us, band.us/@the Diamond Report is where it is. So feel free to join that group, and then Subscribestar and Substack I mentioned already. Those links are in the box up there in the upper right corner. And so is the shop. The shop is another way you guys can support what I'm doing. Every little bit helps, and I do make a little bit on all of the various items on here. We'll just kind of scroll through them. We've got hoodies, stickers, travel mug, ceramic mug, pillowcase, long sleeve t-shirt, short sleeve t-shirts. We've got the conspiracy analyst logo, catchphrase on some of the products, and we've got the Diamond Report on others. And then we've got the End Times Dates, which is my other video series that I have done over the years. That is also available on certain things here too. Mugs and water bottles and so forth. So there's some different things you can purchase there if you would like something that's more of a keepsake type thing, or a really nice hat or shirt. Definitely helps, like I said. And then make sure you're following on the Diamond Report on X. So it's the Diamond RPRT on X. And found some interesting things about this whole craziness with Biden and him giving the pardon to his son. So this first retweet that I found earlier today, Aaron from Health Nut News, "No one is above the law," Joe Biden posted. "No one is above the law," obviously talking about Trump. And right under that is a community notes rating that says Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter Biden of all criminal convictions on December 1st, 2024. According to Joe Biden's actions, he and his son are in fact above the law. So let that sink in. And very true, very true. NPC media narrative: pardoning your criminal family members is good for democracy. So you can see all of the MSM platforms out there, all on the same page. They'll all be arguing this point, and except if Trump ever tried this type of thing, you can bet they probably would all be on the same page again against pardoning. Right? Chrisanne Hall, you guys know who she is? She's really good. She has been a guest on Lost Arts Radio before, show that I produce. She says, "Time to start enforcing the Constitution and stop asking presidents to be kings. Americans really need to learn the difference. Read Federalist 69 or learn with us at libertyfirstsociety.com. Yeah, she's also a teacher, but she's a constitutional attorney. She's really, really knowledgeable. Very, very knowledgeable on everything, anything and everything that has to do with the Constitution. So the clip here that they're showing says, Biden pardons his son Hunter despite previous pledges not to. Yeah, well, that doesn't matter because we all know that they can't be held accountable for anything ever. So then DC Drano posted some stuff about it. And then Dems, nobody is above the law starter pack. And you have the Hunter laptop, the Hillary emails, and the Epstein clients, and the Fauci research. And I thought this was kind of funny. We'll let this one play as well. This is the demonic, what is she, like a Cabbage Patch doll or something? I don't know what she is. But luckily she's reaching the end of her usefulness here on the White House press secretary gig. So says no is a no. It will always be a no. Biden will not pardon his son Hunter. Guess what? They lied.
The president would not pardon or commute sentences for his son Hunter. I just want to make sure that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
So I take it it's a no. It's a no. It will always be a no, and there's no changing that. It's a no. And yet, no one is above the law. Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter as of today. I thought this one was pretty funny. You guys ever watch the Three Stooges? Sean Penn looks like all Three Stooges put together. So he's simultaneously Larry, Moe, and Curly all at once. That's amazing. But he actually does look like Larry, Moe, and Curly all at once. A little sadder, perhaps. They were pretty happy. And very funny. This one's pretty good too, actually. Not found at Ground Zero on 9/11. 4 multi-ton Boeing 767 turbofan engines. Not found 4 indestructible flight recorders, but found near Ground Zero after 9/11 one unscathed hijacker passport made of paper. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I also found this, just kind of stumbled across it, and somebody tweeted it and didn't know who it was, but it was Mr. Bart. It was Bart Sabrell. So I retweeted it, and said, my good friend Bart Sabrell. It just says, man debunks NASA's claim of putting men on the moon in 1969 in 40 seconds flat. Well, that's what Bart does. You guys want to see it?
In sunlight, shadows will always run parallel with one another. This is because the sun is about 1 million times bigger than the Earth, and it casts shadows in the same direction over an entire continent. So you'll see in sunlight, shadows always run parallel and never intersect. Here's a picture which the federal government claims was taken on the moon. The astronaut shadow runs at 12 o'clock, and this rock, only about 5 feet away, the shadow runs at 9 o'clock. This is a 90-degree difference from objects 5 feet apart from one another. This proves that this was taken on Earth with an electrical light.
All right, there was Mr. Bart for you. Yeah, I thought that was pretty wild. Pretty neat that people are clipping out some of the things he's saying and putting it out there. But yeah, he does a really good job of explaining how nonsensical this whole moon mission, Apollo moon mission thing that happened in 1969, July 1969, the same year that Prince Charles was made Prince Charles, Prince of Wales. Anyway, let's see here. Owen Schroyer posted the put on the armor of God. That was kind of neat. Pretty wild. And then I also put the Diamond Report shows back on Twitter as well. So if you happen to be on there, you can catch the final version of the Diamond Report that I will post at some point tomorrow. It will make its way onto Twitter either tomorrow or Tuesday as well. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, I guess we can wrap it up tonight. So let's see. The next show we are doing will be next Sunday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. That's going to be December the 8th. So December the 8th, 10 p.m. Central Time. December the 8th, isn't that the anniversary of the John Lennon shooting, I believe? I think that was December the 8th, 1980. If I remember right. Anyway, yeah, so that will be the next show. Maybe we'll have some Lennon stuff to look at. I actually follow somebody who does some really, really good work on John Lennon and his assassination. Very, very interesting stuff. I'll bring that to the party next week. So I hope you guys can join me. We'll talk about that and whatever else is happening in the world. Hopefully we won't have a nuclear holocaust between now and then. Keep your fingers crossed. And keep saying your prayers because, man, we just do not know. We don't know. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I certainly appreciate that. Blessings to you all. Hope you have a really great week. And yeah, we're wrapping up this year. It's down to the wire here. And man, we don't know where it's going exactly, but we have a pretty good idea. If we are believers in Jesus Christ, He will be returning soon. And hope to see it with my own eyes. If not, I hope to see it with my spiritual eyes. So I hope you guys have a blessed week. And stay safe and keep praying. Pray for me if you don't mind, and pray for my family, and I'll continue to pray for you guys as well. Hope you guys have a super week, and we'll do it again next week. Love you all. Talk to you again real soon.